Hey guys, thank you for listening to Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. I'm your co-host Sam with my best friend
Ben. Hey, this is Ben. Nice to be
This
here
is
with
Ben.
you guys again. Here with you guys
Yeah.
again today
Again.
on this day.
This day of all days to have you, our friends and listeners, our fans. Are they our fans or are they Brandon Sander fans?
Well, I think to get into the door, they have to be fans of Brandon Sanderson. So they're already Brandon
Absolutely.
Sander fans. But you're asking like fans of the podcast, like the Brandon Sander fans nation, what do they identify
Absolutely,
as, right?
yeah. There's like a million things. So I mean, right up, you immediately think Brandon Sander fans, but that's a mouthful.
Yeah, and there is a Facebook group for that was created, but it has devolved into some really, really bad, memes. Just not even Brandon Sanderson memes, just some really, vile stuff. The stuff you don't want to associate with. So, there's that.
So we're gonna have to
Brandon Sander
get a
fans.
lawyer for that one. I don't want to be affiliated with that.
Yeah, we can take it back if we need to. There's also the Brandon Sand fan heads.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're the ones they were just typing away on their keyboard, and I think they just got excited while they were doing it. They're just Brandon Sander fan heads.
Do you think they were big?
So the Brandon Sander fan heads, they spell it differently every single
Do they
time.
wear big Brandon Sanderson heads? Do you think that's how that works? 'Cause
Yes.
that'd be kind of scary.
Yes,
Have
so-
a big convention where there's like Brandon Sanderson doing like a panel, and then a crowd of 400 Brandon Sanderson heads just staring or maybe bobbling. Oh man.
Yeah, Brandon would be down though. Like if that's what his fans want to do, he would accommodate. It's mostly out of convenience though. I know a couple of people that they've made their big paper mache heads actually to accommodate, since this is an internet medium that we're relaying this through the power of the World Wide Web. They've actually installed a computer inside the head, so they never need to leave it. They just put it on. They chat with their eyes, much like Stephen Hawking. They got the same technology going on where they can just type with their eyes,
Yep.
and just use a laptop all the time, and they can be doing something completely different with their body, and no one will know the difference. They may notice the gigantic, huge to accommodate a laptop in front of your face head, but they could be knitting, they could be quilting, they could be doing other things that are also going to make blankets.
They could be doing a podcast inside that's called the Brandon Sander fan head zone fan cast.
Fan zone head fan zone. The zone of head.
The zone, the head zone fan cast. Well, that's pretty good.
So
But
the thing is, I love these guys because they're diehards. They are impossible to find on the internet because literally their SEO is so bad. I just can't. There's so many heads and zones and fans and Sanders. Just so many. I put Sanders in there, I get Bernie Sanders. Like, we got to figure something better out.
well, that leads me to my next one. Is I found a Facebook group that was just created like 30 seconds ago. Definitely not by me. Called Brandon Sanderfans. They're
Fanderfans.
Yeah, because that kind of shows that they're fans of the Sanderson and fans of the Sanderfans. But there's a lot of Bernie Sanders memes, and I think that's where it gets us a little confused because there's no Brandon in it. It's just Fanderfans, and then exclamation point.
When we started this, I want to get serious for a second, just you and me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I want people that love this podcast to feel like they belong, to have an identity, and when they say it to someone else, that they'll also know. What do you think about this? I'm going to float this to you, and I'm being serious.
I'm listening.
What about the Sander fanatics?
Ooh.
So you got Sander fan in there, you got fanatic in there. They're the addicts for the Sander Fans podcast, the Brandon Sander Fans podcast.
Yeah,
huh? Sander fanatics.
Sander fanatics. I really like that for numerous reasons. And two of those reasons are Sander fans, which, that's us. We're the Sander fans.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. And then Sander, that's the Sanderson and Brandon Sanderson. We're not here to be like, look at us. We're talking about Brandon Sanderson. We're here to be like, hey, look at us. Right. We're talking about Brandon Sanderson. It's not about us, you guys. It's about the big BS. No, Brandon Sanderson.
The big BS with BS. Just BS with BS. Yes. Every single week.
Brandon Sanderson.
With B and S.
Mr. Sanderson, if you're listening, I never made that connection. That was an immature joke. I apologize.
You know who probably made that connection a lot? Anyone he went to school with.
I was going to say mean kids that went to high
mean
school.
Mean kids. You know, yeah, the guys from the Sanderfan fans, that group, they made that pretty clear before they went on a very long racial tirade and they're shut down by the FBI. So,
whoa! But let's think about this though.
Yeah.
Who else has those initials BS? Let me tell you, Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
So pretty popular initials.
Yeah, Sam, we're really getting our pulse on the people this week.
Yeah. You know who else has that initial?
Mm.
Burt Reynolds. If you take the S on the end of his name and make that the initial.
You know, I always spell Burt Reynolds with an S in front of it and the R at the end, so it just says Burt Senolder. Senolder. Burt Senolder. Which, you know, you may think Burt Reynolds is attractive, but you have not lived until you've met Burt Senolder.
It's just like looking in a mirror that's pointed at Burt Reynolds. Now let me. We have lots of friends. Ben and I do. We're showing off right now to those friends. We have lots of them, but they've got really good nicknames. Okay, you know, we've got our good friend Michael. He's got a plethora of nicknames, but Chuckles has always stayed. We've got our good friend Colton. We call him Coco.
Yeah.
We got our good friend Cameron. I call Cameron Big Papa Love. I mean, that's since like 2009. I've called him that.
We got John Boy. John Boy's tartar sauce.
John Boy. Boy's tartar sauce.
We got Mickey D. Mickey D's name is LED eyes. He just got those great eyes that we love so much.
They're very bright. Very bright.
Sam, I used to call you Punchy Pants. You know, you just had the punchiest pants the whole land.
You couldn't miss them by a country mile. They were just punchy.
Sometimes I'd throw a punch and you wouldn't be anywhere nearby, and then just some pants would fly out and stop my punch in midair.
That was my downfall.
Sam, what are you doing in this fight club? And I'm like, oh no, I'm not supposed to talk about it.
And that's when Ben and I were kicked out of Fight Club. That was the best 15 minutes of my life, though. You guys ever heard of Fight Club? Well, you shouldn't, because you'll get kicked out.
I think it's crazy that there's a movie that's so popular when no one's allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, that the Fight Club movie, such a big deal when you're not allowed to talk about it. Like, no word of mouth. That's impressive.
Maybe it's all through.
That's just a testament to advertising.
Maybe smoke signals or carrier pigeons. It's probably carrier pigeons.
Probably carrier pigeons, and mostly people. You have to intercept the carrier pigeon from one Fight Club member to the other Fight Club member, and then you have to like decode it by wrapping it around a pencil. You remember that code?
It was a real bad code. Bad code. But what's great about carrier pigeons is that once you're done with them, you throw them away.
Mm-hmm. Or you can eat them. Then you got birds, or you can sell them.
Yeah.
We've established there's a good bird economy to be exploited if you're smart.
We got them full circle. I think that was episode 1. That was probably episode. We got them full circle. I think we could end the podcast now. Like, that's the end of the series.
Well, I think what you were getting at, Sim, is like lots of DJs have cool names like Jazzy Jeff and the Blaze and Jordan James
DJ
and
the Abrams. Jordan James and the Abrams.
Jordan James and the Abrams.
There's Spadoodly Kitten and the Spoopsy Woos. That's a newer one. That's kind of retro.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say? I made it up.
I don't know, Sam.
But the DJ's got cool names. I mean, you look at all the other podcast guys; they've got cool names.
Yes.
We need cool names.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Ben's a cool name with 2 N's, even cooler.
Yeah.
Sam, it has its moments. Sorry, Mom. I know you really like this name, but we need.
Well, Sam,
we need really cool names.
What if both our names currently, Ben and Sam, Very cool. Ben with 2 N's, Sam with 1 M. What if we just switched and I became, my nickname was Ben with 1 N, and your nickname was Sam with 2 M's? That way, like when we say with Ben and Sam, like all the real deep cool kids know, man, they're using their nicknames, aren't they? They're using those nicknames. Like I heard Ben, he used 1 less N in his name this time, and Sam used 1 more M.
And the difference is so minute that even listening to it and like zooming in on that audio with your audio zooming techniques,
you will never be able to find evidence of us ever saying
no
our nicknames.
Way
Ever.
You could just tell though.
Ever.
You could tell if you're a Sander fanatic, you'll know.
You got to be a Sander fanatic, but if you get deep in it, you'll know.
Hey Ben.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Did everyone hear that? No, you didn't, but you felt it.
Hey Sam.
There's only 1 N on that one. I really like that.
Like the way that
was
sounded,
really
right?
good. So Ben,
yes?
What do we do on this podcast? Do we just gab? What do we do?
I mostly drink Diet Pepsi, but we also do talk about Brandon Sanderson books, and we're talking about Mistborn, chapters 19 through 21 this week.
Dun, dun, dun.
I really hope nothing happens to Pepsi between now and this episode airing that would cause them to be, derided in any way by we're filming this in 1995, by the way. But we're filming
before the book came out.
Yeah.
We film all of our episodes and we put them on VHS and we keep them in a big locker until we release them in 2017.
Well, it's 1995.
It's going to be a while.
There's literally no other way to make podcasts. It's 1995.
That's true.
I mean,
radio didn't even exist.
Yeah, well, Radio Disney, but no other radio. Only Radio Disney. You can request that good Spice Girls song you love so much.
Or that other, what's that other one? The really, really popular one.
Mbop. Oh, yeah.
By Huey Lewis and the News.
Yeah, the Huey Lewis and the News song, the Ghostbusters theme.
Ghostbusters theme.
I'm afraid someone's actually going to be watching Ghostbusters one day with their friends, and like the Ghostbusters theme's going to come on. Like, this is my favorite Huey the Lewis and the News song. And in truth, I don't know if you're actually wrong. It's a good Huey Lewis and the News song.
And what's really difficult is at the end of the movie, when they usually have the credits for their songs, they actually don't say who wrote it. They leave it up to you to know that it was Mr. Huey and his friend Lewis and the News.
It's much like our nicknames. You will never know who actually
You'll
did that.
never know.
It's like a whole Milli Vanilli situation. It was really Huey Lewis and the News the whole time.
So, do you think Weird Al and Huey Lewis and the News know each other?
You know what? I really, really hope that they met up. I bet you anything there's at least one Huey Lewis and the News or Chicago-esque Weird Al parody song. You know how he parodies styles and he parodies like legitimate songs, like he remakes songs with different lyrics, or he parodies a style and basically builds it from scratch. We got to do some research and figure out which song is that Huey Lewis and the News Chicago-esque, like new wave rock and roll jazz.
That is an intense genre. You can't get in. You can't get in that genre just sitting down and listening to it. You have to take at least a year and a half of your life of preparing yourself to listen to that genre, and then you might be ready. But only if you're enlightened by Mr. Lewis and his news.
Yeah, and the news.
All right. Mm-hmm. So we read chapters 19, 20, 21. Quite a bit of shenanigans happened.
Great chapters. Great chapters. First thing, start off with Kelsier. We're back in Kelsier's body, just like we all like to be. And we're running around at night.
He's very warm.
He's very warm. It's the pewter. It's the pewter that he burns. Keeps him nice and warm and nice and toasty.
Oh, totally is.
So
burn a pewter fire.
He's doing some shenanigans. Dumps a body.
Yep.
No big deal. He killed a guy tonight. whatever. And he goes and talks to an informant named Hoyd. No big deal. Do not pay attention to this guy. No way he's going to come back. Or no, nothing to do with this guy. You know, if you're reading this for the first time, this is totally normal.
Hoyd is totally normal, and he's a throwaway character. You know, Brandon Sanderson was like, I need an informant, and I need him to be totally forgettable and definitely not important in any other book that I write.
I mean, he'll never come back. We will never see this character again, is what he was saying.
Absolutely not.
I'll name him,
but
he's like, I'm going to name him Hoyd, I guess. Whatever. Fine, that works. And just kind of scribbled it down on the page.
What happened is that he was writing this page, and then his 3-year-old
tell me more.
Said a zinger.
Yeah.
Like he was playing with the 5-year-old, and the 5-year-old was just like,
he's loving it.
I'm in the FBI, and you shot me. I was such a dedicated servant, and then his 3-year-old was like, now you're just a dead servant. Oh. And then Brandon Sanderson was like, Hoyd. Well, that was it. And then he wrote down Hoyd.
You know, and actually his son, you know, we talked about on a previous episode where Brandon Sanderson, so cool, if he takes off sunglasses and more sunglasses fall from the ceiling. You know, that was actually when his son got his first pair of sunglasses right then. He's just like, now you're going to be dead. And then his sunglasses came down. He's like, he has the power. He's the chosen one. He'll take up the mantle.
At some point, it's like snapping allomantically. At some point, each Sanderson child will do something really cool, or say like a sweet zinger, or you know, like be sassy, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just sunglasses,
sunglasses, and some Thug Life music in the background.
Darn, it feels good to be a gangster. Yeah.
So if this is your first time reading Mistborn, you know, completely disregard this dude. Totally normal. If it's not your first time reading Mistborn, so Hoyd's in this book, right? Just like he's always around, apparently.
Isn't that crazy?
Sam, I want to ask you, when did you first find out about like Hoyd as a recurring character, Hoyd showing up where he shouldn't basically all the time?
Oh, after I finished Words of Radiance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the reason I leave a big pause there is because like I read it and then I was like, who is this guy? I'm not going to say anything about Words of Radiance, spoilers, but I was like,
we'll get to Words of Radiance eventually.
Who is this guy? He's crazy. And that's when you and Cameron, I think Coco was talking about it too, and you're like, yeah, oh yeah, that's Hoyd. And I was like, right. And you're like, no, bruh, it's Hoyd, you know, from literally everything. And then going through it again, and even looking up chapters online where he was mentioned, just so I could refamiliarize myself with this character. It is such a moment that Hoyd he's kind of a throwaway character, or so you think.
Yeah,
but
the thing is, like, but also you understand, like, Hoyd, you know, in the context of what he's doing here, and I think people first found out that Hoyd was a reoccurring character because this was the second book that Brandon Sanderson released after Elantris. In Elantris, there's a beggar that's also named Hoyd. And so, you know, some very attentive, very, focused Sanderfans out there, they grabbed onto that and they asked him, like, hey, is this the same character? You just like this name? What's up with this? And he's like, yeah. He didn't have any. Sometimes he has some things he wants to protect, but this is something he wanted to get out in front of us. That he's doing something bigger across all of his books, where there will be characters, themes, relationships that will mean more to you if you've read all of the books up to there. Kind of like a cinematic universe, but each one I think stands on its own a lot better than we've seen like with Marvel movies, where they're very interconnected, even though they're entertaining one after another.
Yeah, and something that caught my eye twice, once when we first meet Hoyd, and another time later, which I'll mention in just a moment, is that let me read here. So, we first meet this informant. Kelsier is pretending to be a nobleman, so that he'll, you know, the informant will not necessarily respect him, but maybe fear him a little. And he's referred to as the informant. Actually, he's referred to as nothing, and then it just says Hoyd said. You know, it just brings up Hoyd's name. I thought that was a little peculiar. Then later, hopefully it's in these same chapters, Kelsier's talking with Lord Remu, I don't know, Lord Remu, about staying in character for so long. He's like, I don't know how you do it. And then it says, instead of saying Lord Remu said this, it said, you get used to it, end quote, said the Khandra. And it's like these little tips that Brandon Sanderson leaves along everywhere, pointing to like, hey, remember this. You didn't think it was important until I said this. I thought it was actually kind of cool. It's an interesting, it's an interesting way of writing, especially because not that I was getting tired or bored, Brandon Sanderson. I promise I wasn't. I was drifting off a little. I was sleepy, and then I saw that spoke the Khandra or whatever it said, and I was like, hold up, I forgot about that. Not that, but I forgot that it was mentioned.
Yeah, well, and I think that, looking at what Hoy does in this chapter, he knows a lot about the world. He knows about pretty much all the noble houses, so he can give information to Kelsier without breaking that he's not actually from, Scadrial, which is the world that Mistborn takes place on. He is a liar. He's faking some things. He's faking that he can't see. He looks markedly different in each book as well. In this one, he looks like an old beggar. He has different hair than he does in other books. But every single time you see him, I think this is one of the biggest cameos, actually, he has. Sometimes he's not even named at all. It's more of something in passing. As Brandon went on, I think that he knew that his readers were paying attention, and so he could hide it a little bit more. But he is really he's really impressive in that he, just like what you said with the Khandra, we're going to learn more about that later, but he wants to make sure that when he pays off something or when he does something big that'll shake things up, he's left Easter eggs or notes about it before. You can't shoot Chekhov's gun if you don't know it's there first. So he will sprinkle things in beforehand.
Absolutely. And that adds a high amount of rereadability so that you can go back through and adamantly look for those Easter eggs and adamantly look for those little things that he left, little breadcrumbs, so you can be like, holy crap, I did not see that before. That is cool. And this is, my second time reading it, and this is your third, fourth, fifth time reading it? However
Something
many
like
it
that.
is.
A lot.
And somewhere in the teens. Somewhere in the teens. There's still certain things that you absolutely have missed that you can pick up on or be reminded of. It's like I said, it's a really cool way to reward readers and also entice readers to keep coming back for more. You need some more.
Well, going on from that, this is the chapter that keeps on giving, because we meet Strathventure right here, and we kind of get to see why Ellen doesn't like him that much. He is a nobleman. He's a mean guy. He's a dingus a bit. Very kind of rude. Kelsier pulls some tricks that he learned from Hoy just a couple seconds ago. And thanks him. I think he even takes a moment to thank him, which is ironic because of things that happen, in later books. But going on from there, we meet Strathventure for the first time, kind of figure out why, kind of where Elend is coming from, and why him revolting against his dad is probably a good thing, and not being much like him. He does think about Elend, and he worries about him just because he's worried if something happens to Elend, how Vin is going to feel, how she's going to react, and her emotions.
Because she's very, very, obviously attracted, but she's become connected to him.
She's attached to him for sure, yeah.
Attached because of how he makes her feel.
Exactly.
She feels like she can be a little more herself around him, but she's also very wary because, he's a nobleman, all the possibility of rumors, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Strathventure is just a big old poop, and I don't like him.
Well, he's only in there a little bit. You don't have to smell his stink too long. And then he'll be gone. But going on a little bit more, Vin gets some lessons from Marsh. I think this is the most we get to hear from Marsh.
Marsh is so cool.
So interesting. And we learn a lot in this little bit. We learn about his obsession with the Obligators and the Steel Inquisition. He has a very fanatical, just like Kelsier is after the nobleman, he says, he is after the Obligators and the Inquisition. because he knows what evil they're doing. He
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really interesting, because of that, that's why he's going into the becoming, an obligator, and trying to sneak in so that it fulfills his kind of revenge desires and also a role on the team as well. But then he also gets to talk to her more about seeking, and how she can control and learn more about that power. And it's really interesting that there is a way. It's kind of like a radar. You just have to learn how to read it, of
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what different bleeps and bloops mean, in comparison to the allomantic pulses that you're feeling when you're a seeker.
I I really like this little chapter with Marsh for several reasons. One, Marsh I think is such a cool character, and we don't know much about him at this point. Obviously, he's Kelsier's brother. He's, I believe I don't know if it was in this chapter or another one that he mentions that he was the obligator that he impersonated when they first met her.
He had a shop, and she came into the shop, and she had emotionally manipulated him, I think twice while she was there.
Yes. Yeah.
So since he's
But
a
we,
seeker, he's always looking for Allomancers, and he figured out that she was a Mistborn, which is where he referred it to Kelsier and the rest of the crew.
he's very, very good at what he does. Obviously, he's been practicing, but as we see with Vin, as we saw before, and as we see now, she's so much stronger than she thinks, and then she's so much stronger than how others anticipate. And obviously, she's very new to her powers, but she has pretty much been using emotional allomancy for a large part of her life, since whenever she snapped, and then whatever metals she got from water or food or from wherever, she's been using them, not knowing that it was allomancy. And so she's had a certain amount of practice, but she's still very, very strong as an allomancer and as a Mistborn. That it impresses even Marsh, which I assume is very difficult. Marsh is really cool. He's like the Mark Wahlberg of Scadrial.
I still say if he reminds me of any actor, it's like he is John Wick. Like he is steel eyes on the prize, very serious, very committed, and pretty much perfect at what he does. And that's what he's going to go do.
Absolutely.
Whereas Kelsier, growing up, they kind of parted ways, where Marsh went into the rebellion and pretty much had his heart broken over and over by never being able to get anything done with the rebellion. And Kelsier became a thief and was the most successful thief in Luthadel for years, for probably a decade, I would say at least, before he was captured. And we also learned in there that Kelsier and Mare, who were on their thieving team together, it wasn't just Kelsier that loved Mare. Marsh also loved Mare, but it was Kelsier that was married to her.
And it's I don't want to say it's an overplayed plot point, but there are numerous cases in sitcoms or movies or television show series, books, where two brothers love the same woman, and it is very important to the plot of Mistborn, especially to the characterization of Marsh and Kelsier. But I am very glad that it's not overdrawn, and it's not over exaggerated, not exploded beyond what it should be. I mentioned this before. Brandon Sanderson's very good at writing things in such a condensed way that they're very important, and he doesn't feel the need to over expound. I guess that's redundant, to expound beyond a point that you're like, we get it, you're just stop. I'm very, very appreciative of that. Ben, this last little bit, the last chapter we read, 21, this raised some questions for me. We've talked about, is Kelsier a good person? Is what he's doing good for the cause? For their cause specifically.
Is your morality meter going off?
Yeah, man. Just this whole shebang that happens in the caves, and his reasoning behind it. I kind of have to side with Ham in being a little perturbed by what happened. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Kelsier was in the right? That's what I'm asking.
Speaking of it specifically at the end, where he's using
Yes.
his Allomancy to help Demo win the fight, and he is pretty much trying to force Demo to kill this other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Using his powers, making him think that, or making them think that because he's there, they're somehow all emboldened with powers and abilities beyond their own expectations, that they can achieve such these great things and do big battles with him at their head.
I think this action of trying to inspire hope in the soldiers by saying that they're also going to be protected by Allomancy just by virtue of Kelsier having it, and that Kelsier is going to be leading them and protecting and guiding them. I think that that is good. Because these guys are, beaten down so much that'll give them additional hope, so that they don't, to defect, that they, pay attention when they're learning how to swing a sword, so that they just stay on task. But Kelsier very much has the mind of an assassin. Anyone that I think in his thieving crew, he would allow a certain level of allowance. I don't think that he allows the same amount in this army. So, like, if, Ham says something, or even, Vin, where he said that, hey, Vin, if you don't want to be on my crew, you can take the sack of money and go right now. I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to do anything to you. Which I think he was being genuine, that he wasn't going to hurt Vin. He was going to let her leave, and even though she knew the plans, he wouldn't give the same allowance to these guys, though, I don't think. He has just too much violent tendency behind him, where he would come after them and tear them down like he's done so many of the nobleman soldiers to get at Atium or to shake things up. I think that of course he was in the wrong trying to kill this dude when he was defenseless. The lesson had been learned, but I think that he's deeply broken inside, and killing people he's a lot closer to pulling a trigger than most people or most heroes in any books that you're going to read.
These troops to him are undoubtedly expendable. He has Ham, and he has Doxon, and he has Breeze, and he has Vin, and he's grown close to them, and they are his friends, and they're his family, and so he can't. He felt so guilty about allowing Vin to come with him to Credit Shaw. But I think with these guys, I know that he does care for the Ska, and he does want to see them uprise and become a free people once more, or at least become a free people. But I think there's a certain amount of expendability that he feels toward them, that he's just like, if I can get them all riled up, and if I can make them feel like they can do it, that's the next part of my plan, and we'll get them moving whenever we can. There's a disconnect between him and the troops, so that he doesn't, waste his time or waste his efforts feeling the need to protect each and every one of them.
Yeah. I very much feel like Kelsier has a survivor complex, or a savior complex. Which works for this situation specifically, because he is probably the most powerful person that any of these guys have ever met. He is probably the most powerful Allomancer, short any of the Inquisitors on the Lord Ruler's staff. And he is leading a rebellion so that they can, actually make a difference and take over Luthadel and maybe keep it for the first time in Ska history in 1,000 years. But he is also doing it with him at the head. He's aggrandizing himself a bit, and it definitely concerns people in the crew. I think at times it concerns him, like he's not sure if he's doing it for the right reasons or not. But yeah, he definitely has something where he wants to save people, but he also wants to have power to save them in perpetuity. It's a weird sort of complex. We'll have lots of interesting discussions as we meet a lot more powerful people in these books. But yeah, Kelsier is on the side of good, and the things that he's doing are good for the people right now. They are also, consequently, very good for Kelsier's ego.
Yeah, he's kind of I don't know if chaotic good would be the best label for him, but chaotic something. I don't know.
Well, he definitely. Well, everyone in the crew is for sure chaotic good because he did not care about the laws of the land. But he can tend toward neutral sometimes. And I think that if he was put in front of like, hey, there's this nobleman's family, all of the family, men, women, children, standing between you and your goal, I don't think it would take much for him to go to chaotic evil right there. So like that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
Kelsier. He's he's kind of on a spectrum of doing what he thinks he has to do and what is best for what he wants.
For those who don't know, chaotic good, chaotic neutral. That's really nerdy stuff from Dungeons and Dragons. Thank you.
Thank you. I think anyone that's listening to this podcast probably has a cursory understanding of those terms.
Oh man, I hope so.
So other
Oh
highlights I
man.
want to get to, Kelsier wears a fake beard for like the entire first chapter. So,
Yeah.
you can draw your beardy Kelsiers, and that's canon as well. There you go.
And for those of you who want to cosplay as bearded Kelsier, you need some spirit gum because he talks about the gum or the sticky that he used for the beard. Get authentic spirit gum.
You also need some black ash. Oh, we meet Demo. We meet Demo in these chapters, who is, he's just a good boy. He's a good army boy doing his good army boy stuff. Good boy. He's a great boy. He's the best
Yeah.
boy. And we also learn a lot more details about Mare's death.
Yeah. Oh man.
We learn that Kelsier thinks that it was her guilt that killed her because he had not found an ATM bead to return back to them so that he could survive another week in the pits of Hassin, and she said she had found two when really she hadn't, and so she gave it over to him, and that I think that's only added to his psychosis, right?
Oh yeah, man.
He doesn't seem in a very good way most of the time. I think that's just made things more difficult for him. But
What do you think their relationship dynamic was in the pits? Because I don't know. He loved her so much that he couldn't ignore her. But I bet he was probably just furious, unbelievably furious.
I think it was pretty nonverbal until maybe that day when she saw him and she said, and that probably made it worse because she was beaten to death in front of him, and that's when
Yeah.
he snapped. And somehow he got medals. He was able to use his allomancy to escape, however that was. Or maybe he even used, there's ATM right there. I'm sure that maybe he just took some ATM and killed everyone in the place. It could have been. Yeah, but really, really good chapters. I love these chapters this week, and I love going
Yeah,
to
those are
the
good ones.
caves, and we get to see that armless shirt boy Hammond again. Very good guy.
Do you think he rips the sleeves off, or does he buy them like previously no sleeves? He probably rips them off because he's a man.
I bet you anything. Actually, he probably doesn't buy them no sleeves. I bet his wife makes them for him. Hammond is canonically
Oh, yeah.
happily married, and I think that his wife just makes them for him, and she just makes them without sleeves because that's how he likes it.
And that's how she likes it too. Am I right? Am I right?
If I was a pewter burner, why would I wear sleeves? You gotta let those puppies breathe. You're
Yeah.
burning so much.
But you know what? If I was a Peter burner,
Mm-hmm.
why wear sleeves, and why have anything but a triple deep V-neck? Give me a view of the pecs, all the way down to the belly button. Maybe get some abs. You don't know.
Yeah. No, I got you, Sam. Well, Sam, we got through all the chapters. We did it. Just want to end this week.
Yay.
Making some magic.
Making some magic.
We do need like a theme song for it, don't we?
Yeah, something spunky. I don't like that word. I don't want to use it. Let's something jazzy.
Something
Not
jazzy.
worse. Something pizzazzy. There it is.
Okay, we'll figure out something pizzazzy and we'll plug it in right there. So I got the round and noun generator. I'm just generating a noun right now. The noun for this week. For those of you that don't know the segment, we every once in a while you will get a random noun from the internet, and we'll make a magic system free of charge for Brandon to use in a future book.
He's very
This
busy.
week, yeah, he's a very busy guy. Anything we can do to help, that's what we're here for. This week we got shark magic. And the funny thing is, we've already made eel magic. And so, Sam, I'm going to add another stipulation. This magic is on the same it's on the same world as eel magic. So, what were the things we could do with eel magic before? You could train them to, cover you, and they could add protection. You could also fight with them.
Yes.
I also suggested, in a fury. A fever dream that you could have them, connect together to make a long line of eels, and then that would connect with your spine, and then you would be able to catch birds from the sea. What would we do with shark magic, though?
I didn't forget about the birds. It was just nice to be reminded. Well, this is...
So how does shark magic work, and how does it work in tandem with eel magic, which I remember has a big stink element to it as well?
Oh, very much so, because you walk by someone, you're like, ooh, that guy's got 38 eels up them shorts. He's about to go rob a bank or something. So
one thing that sharks have an incredible sense of smell in the water and out of the water. So maybe the sharks are the ones that are they're trying to ferret out the eels. You use shark magic to find eel magic so that you can counteract it, right?
Ooh, so they're like rival gangs, the sharks and the eels.
The sharks and the eels. We're just making West Side Story, aren't we?
We'll call it, hold on. Feliz Side Story. Heck yeah. Oh, we did it.
When you're an eel, all the way from your first stinking eel to your last stinking eel. These eels smell so bad, guys. Why do we gotta wear so many eels all the time?
Why do we have eels? Somebody invent cologne, please.
Yo, Action, what are you doing with that eel? I'm catching boids! Oh, he's catching boids, okay.
He's catching he's catching hoids. Am I right? So let's so sharks.
Okay.
So
sharks.
Not a lot of people know this, but when a shark is born, if you're the first person that it sees, imprint. You are its mother. So what you do?
So it's like a horse thing. You rub away the ichor and you breathe into its mouth, and it bites you a little bit. It gets a taste of your blood, and now you're its mother, right? That's how it works.
It's it. Except don't let the shark bite you, because once it tastes blood, you're gonzies. There's no more you. There's tons of shark, no more you. So you get a handful of baby sharks, maybe 2 handfuls. You know what? Get a tub or a swimming pool full of sharks. The second they're born, you're like, eyes on me, eyes on me, eyes on me, and then they're you can control them. You can be like, okay, I need Squadron B, I need you to steal the birds that eel guy is trying to get to make money, because I want to make his money. I want money, and then you steal the birds. You can also keep them in kind of like a quiver, an arrow quiver, and at any point you just start throwing them like ninja stars. But because they're imprinted on you, or you imprinted on them, they'll always come back. Those guys, they're fiercely loyal to 2 things: you and their mom, which is also you. That's how loyal they are.
Thinking about it, a hammerhead shark, they do lots of tricks at SeaWorld with dolphins where they push on your feet and they push you out of the water. That'd be so much easier if you could just train a hammerhead shark to do that. You have a bigger platform to stand on. You'd be much more comfortable. It's like who wants to stand on a spire when you can skateboard in the sea? Am I right? So
Absolutely.
Hammerheads, they're good for transportation, for pushing around. You got your great whites for protection. You got your tigers for speed. I get it. Different sharks for different needs. How about I throw this at you though?
Okay, I love it.
So sharks have no bones in their body. They're
that is
the
correct.
only bones in their body: jaw, teeth. Okay, no bones in their body.
Correct.
When they're born, you imprint on them, you remove their teeth, and you replace their teeth with metal dentures. So now they don't have any bones in their body.
Whoa.
They just got these dentures, and you train them how to use the dentures so they can get into smaller spots, because they're just jelly inside that shark skin. They're just jelly things, and they can just squeeze through anything, There's no teeth holding them back anymore.
And that means... If the teeth, let's see, the metal teeth, what about more of a gooey substance, but still inflicting pain? What if instead of you remove
poison.
their teeth.
We just remove it and we replace it with like just peanut butter that's also poisoned. Is that what you're saying? That's what their new jaws should be?
No, their new jaws should be. So you have a shark, and then the new teeth should be smaller sharks. That's like 8 times. That's 8 times a shark. That's a scary shark. If a shark was coming at you, it opened its mouth, and then 48 smaller sharks were open. They're open in their mouths, and then smaller sharks. Maybe that's too much, but you see what I'm getting at.
I like the idea that we have this toothless grandpa shark, and he opens his mouth to be more intimidating, and yes, more sharks come out. They're also toothless grandpa sharks, though, and they just open their jaws, and there's just smaller sharks that are toothless grandpa sharks, and you're just like, okay, I think I know how this is going to go all the way down, until last one, poison peanut butter jaw, just bites you with poison, and then you're poisoned. And you know where we get the poison from? We sell the birds, we buy the poison. That's how we get it.
So
I mean,
okay.
this is still a bird-based economy. Don't get me wrong.
It's absolutely bird-based, but there's a plethora of birds. You just gotta find a good spot where there ain't no eels and ain't no eel users. Just you and your sharks, and you're throwing them, or they're extending out of each other's mouths like an alien situation.
They're just fractal sharks is what we have. They continue on into infinity.
But then you never get them back. Because once they're out there, even if they close their mouths, it's still going. It is still going. Well,
you're like, come on back, Oscar, and only the first shark follows you, and you're just like, I guess we've got to catch more. Got to print on some more sharks.
Got to go buy more poison.
How many birds we get? We got one bird. Okay, well, this isn't worth it.
Wait! It's a pigeon, and it says "Join Fight Club."
So then he goes to Fight Club, and his first night, he just throws this big shark out there like, hey, it says, that's like the 4th rule of Fight Club, it's your first night, you gotta fight. He's not wearing a shirt or shoes. He's gotta do it. And so the shark is just flopping around, and he's taking out Jared Leto. Jared Leto cannot handle this.
No, wait, not a shark. Jared Leto against a shark? That's like putting Jared Leto against a shark. He will not survive that.
So then the trajectory of the entire Fight Club series extrapolates from there. Bob he's good friends with the shark. The shark actually undermines the operation from the inside. All the explosives, those aren't going to work anymore because he replaced them with chum. He just wanted some food. And so he's like, I wish I didn't destroy all these buildings. And then, like, the shark just comes out, Oscar, the shark comes out, and he's like, don't worry, boss, I replaced it with chum. And I just ate it all. And he's just covered with chum, and he's happy. Everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy. But
Helena Bonham Carter, they don't have to watch, the buildings blow up anymore.
And we just don't have to deal with Helena Bonham Carter. Thank goodness. Ugh.
I mean, Edward Norton does still get shot in the head, so that is an issue.
Oh, absolutely. But, whoa, Ben, spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry, Fight Club spoilers. The movie from 1992. Jeez.
If you haven't seen it, just get ready for when Edward Norton shoots himself in the friggin' mouth. Okay.
That's literally the first scene. I will say.
Well,
it's literally the first scene of the movie.
Scene.
Yeah.
Also, the credits happen. That's a big spoiler. Some names you did not think were going to come up. We made magic.
The first name, executive producer, Dick Shark.
Co-executive producer, Dick Shark. You see where I'm going with this. There's a lot of sharks inside that shark.
In the eel justice system.
Mr. Sanderson, please take this magic system. It's like
we filled it out so much. You have so much good stuff. You don't have to do the Fight Club stuff if you don't want to. I think it's some of the best stuff, but I know that maybe there might be some copyright stuff. I don't know how that works.
Well, I think Brandon Sanderson actually helped write Fight Club,
right? And
he was like, "Hey, what if there was magic?" And then Tyler Durden was like, "But wait, what if I shot myself in the mouth?" And he's like, I don't like this book. I'm out.
That explained why Tyler Durden was always eating ingots of metal and claiming that they gave him power. It is Brad Pitt, so he's going to eat something during the movie. Why not an ingot of metal?
Why not just chew on some rebar? He's just, hey guys, oh this hurts. Oh no, I'm bleeding on the inside. I can push against metal. I'm so strong. Wow, he's.
Turns out he just pushes against the metal in his own stomach. And
That's right.
all right, I think this is a grade A. This is a grade A magic system. The eels versus the sharks. It's Sam and I want to thank you, the Sander Fanatics, for listening in. We hope you liked your new nickname. Let us know if you had better suggestions. Please, keep those bad memes away, though. We don't need them. No one needs that.
We really don't.
We really don't. I realize by saying this, I'm only going to invite more. But
tweet at us if you want, or we have a Facebook page now. You can like us. We're Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam on Facebook. You can like us, comment, follow us on Twitter. Are we on LinkedIn? Can they endorse us on LinkedIn?
Endorse us on LinkedIn all you want. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Ben Parrish, BENNPARRISH, NNR. The name's so nice, they consonanted it twice. And you, Sam, where are you?
I'm at Samuel_loose. The name, so common, I needed an underscore. I don't know if it's common. I don't even think I tried anything else, but underscores were really cool when I made my Twitter, okay? Everyone had
Sam.
one.
Everyone loves underscores.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. Follow at BSanderFans on Twitter. Let us know how you're liking the show. If there's anything you want us to add, maybe something you want us to take out. We will not talk about Fight Club every week. I promise. A wink.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, read a book.
Read a book.